Hello and welcome to this today's meeting on at Blissful Awareness. We assemble here to talk about spiritual matters and practices which we do. So if anybody has any queries or they want to share their experience, they are most welcome. We start with some of the questions which have already come, and this is related to, we post it here. The first one is related to that there are many spiritual teachers who talk about non duality and they like to or prefer quantum physics or mechanics more than Albert Einstein's theory of relativity and his views. Further, it is said that quantum physics tells about particles breaking down big objects, matter, and Einstein told about big objects and matter. He wanted to solve the puzzle and make a theory of everything, but after rigorous attempts, he could not. And before his death, he told that reality is a mystery and unknowable. He also told about quantum physics that God does not play dice, means there must be some reason or order, but we can't figure it out, so it seems random to us. What is your views on these two theories? I think the subject is very vast, and I have not read physics too much except in my till my class 12th and also somewhat in engineering, very preliminary physics. So not exposed to the current quantum physics and the latest studies or research which are happening, but somehow the things which are related to spirituality and how science and spirituality, what is the mechanism? Let me try to give my views on that. All are free to add or whatever they feel like is correct, which can be improved on, are most welcome. Don't take that this is what uh, my little knowledge about science and how the spirituality and science are connected. So let us focus on that. The query is that with why people prefer quantum physics over theory of relativity, which was formed by Albert Einstein. Actually, first of all, there is no contradiction because Albert Einstein also talked about quantum physics and his. Let us start from before that. Let us say when the Newton gave his laws, as well as he gave a theory of everything can be reduced to matter and it can be measured, and there are certain laws which is governing the matter's behavior, and once the matter is and its laws are known, they can be used for making life better and to understand what is around us, the physical world per se. So everything was concentrated there. It helped humanity in the sense that we could use the physical laws to our own benefits, but later on it turned out that it can also cause a lot of destruction. So whole focus was on the physical world. So Newton was somewhere in 1600, mid 1600s, and for 300 years or so, 200 years or so, that theory continued, and there was hardly any opposition to it. Later on, more scientists start delving deep into what is the matter and what is mind primarily. So they started inquiring who is knowing this matter, what are the relation between mind and matter, and they said mind, but some scientists also said consciousness. So what is the relation between consciousness and matter? So that was the subject point. And further, with the development of science, they went into further atom. First, a atom model was given, that proton, neutron, and electron, and they have fixed orbits wherein the electrons will rotate, and it was very well established. Subsequently, further, when science developed, they went into subatomic particles. They said, no, no, electron, proton, neutron are not the end of it. They can be further subdivided, which is called subatomic particles. and then there was no end to it. But the question and the approach of which we call materialistic approach is that the consciousness evolved from matter. So matter is primary, and as it started developing itself into more and more complex structures, finally, at some point, the basic life started into being like amoeba, and very basic structures of life came into being, and then fishes, and then subsequently other animals, finally mammals, and it evolved further into monkeys and finally into human being. The theory of fittest fittest will survive, and Darwin's theory of science said that yes, slowly like this the life has evolved. But there are several loopholes into it. So Einstein also tried to plug some of these gaps, and ultimately he could not find the ultimate answer to what is the relation between consciousness and matter. So in the end, he said that even space is an illusion, even time is an illusion. He, in fact, gave a very simplistic formula. I don't know how much research he has done to bring his E is equal to mc square. That energy is can be converted into mass, and mass can be converted into energy, and they have direct relation. And there is a constant in between, which is called c, the speed of light, and that square of it, and that is the constant. So you see, it's a very big number, 3 to 10 raised to power 8 meter per second, the speed of light. Now that is a very huge number. Now you square it, multiply the same number with itself, then it will become enormous. And he said that nothing, there is nobody, no particle or wave can travel more than the speed of light. And if it so happens, then the whole time will collapse if that so happens. And he said that space is also an illusion. So he talked about quantum physics also, in the sense that photons, the carriers of light or solar energy, or the basic packet of energy, the most fundamental packets of energy. And he tried later on, after that, several other scientists also did their parallel exercise parallel to what Einstein did, like Heisenberg or Bohr. And there was a very famous experiment called double slit experiment, which is very important for as far as spirituality is concerned, because they said that photon, or maybe the smallest particle which they know, even electron also for that matter, they have done this experiment even with molecules. But let us say photon or electron, it it ideally should behave like an particle because it is an independent structure. However, when they found that if two slits are there, then it doesn't behave like an particle if measurement is not being done. So that is the catch. If measurement is being done, then it behaves like a particle. But if the measurement is not being done, and then it behaves like a wave. So this was very intriguing that how can this happen? So they thought maybe the probes are interfering, therefore it is behaving erroneously and not like a particle. But then they did the experiment in such a manner that the interference from the probes will be totally eliminated. They did it in different methods. I don't have not gone through so much of detail, but they said that they kept the probes there and did not put it on, and they started movement of photons. They found that as long as it is not on, they were behaving like a wave. But as soon as it was on, it behaved like a particle. That means discrete impressions were there in the screen where the photons were hitting. So it's very difficult to understand. But from the spirituality perspective, if we try to see how they are related now, see there are 4 5 theories both in science and also in spirituality, as they philosophers, they start thinking. As masters, they start contemplating. And you see that the spirituality is much more thousands of years before the scientists came into, did all these experiments. So they knew it by whatever mechanism, by settling of mind, they knew that there is something which is beyond mind, which is, in fact, which cannot be said to be the matter. That's the starting point. Because as of now, also, no scientist can define what is mind. There is no way anybody can define. They can reach up to brain. They can also say that there is some thoughts. But what is mind? That is beyond the grasp of any scientist, even as of now. Although they will say that psychology and all these branches of science have developed, but we all know the limitations of the the thought process, that what is the source of thought cannot be known by thought itself. So that is the catch. Now, first, that Einstein and quantum physics are not opposing each other. Second, Einstein himself was deep into quantum physics. Now, the second part is that spiritual teachers, they don't have any inclination, or a non-dual teaching does not have any inclination over either quantum physics or theory of relativity. What are they doing is that these theories, these scientific research have further reinforced what was already known to the spiritual scientists, so to say, if we can say that. Because that was established, it was not contradicted. In fact, the science itself has started contradicting itself time after another. Means in a period of time it evolves, and with new experiments, the earlier postulates or theories or hypotheses are proven wrong, and new theories, hypotheses, postulations, they start they are more accepted. So this is my take on it. Now, coming to how the science and spirituality meet with each other, what is the relation between the two, and whether, as a spiritual seeker, whether we can use science to our advantage, or we can see some correlation between matter and science. But let me come back. There are five types of relations which has evolved over a period of time between matter and consciousness, or matter and mind. So what are they? First is the materialistic approach. This I am quoting from Swami Sarv Priyananda's one of the lecture which I recently listened, which Guruji has posted in Pure Experiences on oneness. I will share the link of it. It's a very beautiful talk. I think everybody should listen to it. Very nicely put into the way these five theorems, or why five way of thinking philosophies have evolved over a period of time. And it's not that one is superior and one is inferior, nothing like that. You take whatever way you take, it is up to you. Ultimately, you will reach at the same conclusion if you are having an open mind, if you believe only on your experience and also on logic, and also how these spiritual masters over a period of thousands of years have written down their own experiences. So those needs to be verified by you yourself. Nobody is going to help you on that. They will only indicate and point towards something which they have gone through. So you yourself have to take the first step, and that will be the last step also. So what is that first step? Let us go to those ways on which this relation between the word and the mind is explained or tried to evolve over a period of time. First is the materialistic belief that matter is supreme, and from matter, the consciousness has evolved over a period of time when the conditions were conducive, when everything was in place, then consciousness evolved. This is very simple, which most of the scientists believe, but there are several scientists who don't believe in it. and they are very much right when they don't believe it. But the second is the atheist view of spirituality, wherein they say that consciousness is there, which is the fundamental. Atheists say that God is there. No, and if you ask atheist, he will say yes, God is conscious. Nobody will say God is not conscious. So God is fundamental, and He created this world. This is the second theorem or second way the people understand the relation. So consciousness is supreme, and it has created the matter. This is the second one. The third one is that both are parallel, like Shaivism or Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Purush or Sankhya Yoga, wherein they say no, Purush and Prakriti are parallel existence. It is not that one is dependent on other or one is created by the other. They both are parallel. Like there are only two things, yin yang or whatever, wherein one is Purush, other is Prakriti. One is the seer, other is seen, and they are parallel. Observer and observed, Purush and Prakriti or Shiv and Shakti. So these are two parallel streams and they interact, and that interaction is the whole play of the whole existence. This is the third one. Now, this also has certain challenges, which again spiritual master said, no, this does not seems to be complete. There are certain gaps in it. So what did they do? I mean, in the second one, the question will come: who created the creator? Then creator cannot be created on its own, which created the physical or the material world. So that was the challenge in the second theorem. In the third theorem, the challenge is that how can it happen that both are independent of each other? So they were still not very much accepted. So came the fourth one, which is, let us say, Buddhist approach, Tibetan approach, the approach where nothing is there, it is only emptiness. And even if something is apparently there, it seems it is only emptiness. So that was the theory. Nagarjuna also said that. So these were the theorem which said that no, neither the seer nor the seen, they are both empty. They are nothingness. They are both empty. This is the fourth one. But this again was maybe say very close to what is now the fifth one, which is non-duality. So let me repeat 1 to 4, then we'll come to non-duality. Non-duality, most of us present here know it. But still, first is that the consciousness is evolved from matter. Second is consciousness is supreme and it has created the matter. Third is they both are parallel, like Shaivism. And fourth is it is only emptiness. And then came the final one, which is non duality. That means it is only consciousness and it is appearing to itself as an illusion. And this now answers almost all the questions. So, at least for me, this has been the end of the quest on what could be the correct answer, that it is only consciousness. The explanation is very simple, like there is no wave as such, it is only water. There is no pot as such, it is only clay. There is no table as such, it is only wood. And similar other examples are quoted in non duality to say that it is only consciousness and it has not created the matter. It is neither parallel with the matter. The matter is only an illusion, and the consciousness itself is appearing as an illusion to itself. You can say that the screen is having consciousness, is able to see it, perceive it, and at the same time, the lights or the images of light and darkness appearing on the screen itself is part of the screen. Or we can say this whole sky or the whole space has also the ability to perceive. If that imagination is just used, you can say that there is only awareness, there is only consciousness. Actually, we don't use this word consciousness in pure experiences, but still, there is lack of, maybe I don't know, but it's very difficult to explain these things into words. So ultimately, you don't have to believe anybody. You don't have to either support or reject any particular theorem or postulation or the way it is being put up. See yourself. Where is the duality? And that again is explained in very beautiful terms that right now, right here, we can find that there is nothing but oneness. There is nothing but non duality. We started with the physical word that yes, we take physical word to be real, but soon you will find there's a problem with it because it is not as physical as solid as it seems. It is made up of atoms. So the second step comes when you go to five elements, or you can say time, space, and energy. So it is made up of energy. It is not matter really. That's what Einstein said. E is equal to mc square. So it is not matter. It is energy, more subtle than the matter. That is proven also, like fusion and fission in nuclear reactions. Once the matter cracks, it converts into energy. Fission or fusion also creates energy. So you see, it is pure energy, not matter. So the second step is more acceptable. Yes, it is energy, it is time, it is space, which is called five elements in Hindu or spiritual Sankhya and other philosophies. So that is more fundamental. So it is easily accepted. The third is that no, it is not time and space and energy. It is illusion. So that seems to be even better than time and space because where is time and space? You even Einstein said there is nothing as space. It is all illusion. There is nothing as time. Again, it is a comparison between two changes, which we all know now. So this is the third one, which seems to be even better. And the fourth one is that it is consciousness. It is not illusion. How can illusion be known unless there is a conscious being, unless there is a consciousness, which scientists call mind? But what is the one which is perceiving it? This is the fourth one. And the fifth one is that it is the consciousness itself, which is which has become many. It has created sort of a thing, which was the second atheist type of a thing. So consciousness has created this whole illusion. And the fifth one is that it is pervading and pervaded. Like consciousness is pervading and it is pervaded into matter and whatever physical is there. And finally, the seventh one he said is chinmatra. That means it is pure consciousness. There is no pervading and pervaded relation. It is only pure consciousness which has become many, which has become the illusion itself. So this again is from that same lecture of Sir Priyanandaji, Swami Sir Priyanand, that he explained this so beautifully in Hindi terms, all these seven stages of Jagat Vilas. Then he said Panch Bhut Vilas. Then he said Maya Vilas. Then it is said Chit Vilas. Then he said Chit Vibharth. Then he said Chinmaya, which is pervading and pervaded relationship. And finally Chinmatra. That is, it is pure consciousness alone, which has become many, which is the only thing which is existing. So here ends the non-spirituality, I mean non-duality. Or duality is again, it is said it is non-dual. That means there are no two. When they talk about two, it is only experiencer and experience. And there is no, they are not two. There it ends. It doesn't say they are one. They just say it is not two. And there's nothing to say beyond that then. All your experiences, even now, right now, if you see, the whole world can be reduced to non-duality. If even now you can see there's only oneness. And once it is seen, it becomes so evident in all the actions, all the thoughts. I've seen this myself that once this became clear to me that what is non duality. Otherwise, prior to coming in contact with Guruji, I used to think the non duality means sukh, dukh, the pleasures and pain, suffering and goodness, badness. This is duality. So I didn't knew that how our spiritual masters have gone so clearly in their thinking process that they reduced it to only experiencer and experience, the seer and the seen. And then they said they are no two, they are not two. So it needs to be done stepwise, and it is a very well established program now, the 3D or 3-day program, wherein first day is to know who you are by elimination. Second, what is this whole word about? What is matter? Why it is an illusion? And third, what is the relation between them, the matter and seer, the seer and the seen? So that is how I see it. If anybody has anything to add or substantiate, because my knowledge is also limited, it is not that I can say that I have read science so completely that I know what is quantum physics and what is theory of relativity, what Einstein wanted to say when he said that space is illusion. What Tom Campbell, I heard just one video which was shared by, I think, Satya or somebody in this group itself. So it was again a very amazing video. Not heard much of Tom Campbell, but then there is theory of everything, which everybody is trying to find that there's one theorem, one theory, which combines all everything, which gives answers to everything. Primarily, the relation between mind and matter, the consciousness and the that which is seen, that which is uh, manifested. What is the relation between the unmanifested and the manifested, the pervader and the pervading? And in our spirituality, in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, also it is three divisions are made, which is very important to understand how the mind creates three divisions. One is the knower, second is the known, and third, there is a process or the mechanism by which this connection is happening, which is called knowledge. So, this seer, seen, and the process itself, or the knower, known, and the knowledge. So, this is we call triputi, the three things. But when we go slightly deep, we find they are not three. Here comes the beauty of the whole non duality. The whole spirituality is hinging on this small fact that they are not three, but they will always be seen as three. So, further, if you eliminate the process, then it will be reduced to two, which is the seer and the seen. Now, where is the seer and what is the seen? What are their relationship? If we try to find answer to that question, then everything is becoming very blur. You can't capture it in intellect. You can't put it into words. But there's no other way that communication can happen. So we have to take help of words. We have to use this mechanism to make ourselves understand. And if somebody asks, you can try to make him understand. But this is just an attempt, a very, I would say, very difficult attempt. Because if a person is ready, he will grasp it. And if he is not ready, he will just look at your face and think he is a crazy person. He is mad. He doesn't know anything about reality. He doesn't living in air. He's living in his own world. Whatever. So they will go away. They will run away. They will laugh, or they will just pay no attention to what you are saying. But it hardly matters. How does it matter? Are you convinced? Are you are you going deep into what is being said by so many spiritual masters? What is being said by so many scientists now? The true scientists know that he cannot eliminate consciousness and do only research on matter, as was proven by double slit experiment also. That once measured, it how can a particle behave like a wave or a wave like behave like a particle? They are absolutely and entirely different concepts altogether. So you have to do your own hard work. There is no shortcut as such. This is how I feel. If anybody has better views or like to share their experience or their thoughts on what we have talked till now, everybody is most welcome, because that will be useful, because everybody has done their own research, they has done their own contemplation, and then they have arrived to certain conclusions. Those conclusions need not to be taken because it is written in some scripture, because it is being said by high some guru. But right now it is all merging. Even the science is merging with the spirituality. If you read quantum physics, you will think that you are reading a book on spirituality. It is such close. I read one book, Tao of Physics, and it was very beautifully said that how both science and spirituality, or Eastern mystics, they said, they are speaking of the same thing. There's not even an iota of difference between a scientist who is open to accept that there is something which needs to be, which is beyond experiments also. So once the mind is open, then the potential is immense, because in reality nothing is really the way it appears to be. Like illusion is not that it is not existing. Illusion is that it is cannot be known as it is. So it is very proper to say that if you try to know anything as it is, you will come down to your own self. There is no other solution available, because you can't know anything. You can't know what is matter. You can't know what is mind. You can't know what is the relationship between them. You can't know what is a thought. You can't know what is how thoughts are connected with each other. You don't know where the memory is stored, how it is percolating down, what is awareness, what is consciousness, what is Jeev, what is living being. So all questions are unanswered. You don't know why you were born to one particular family. You don't know why you are speaking what you are speaking right now. So it is all very difficult to understand that how dreams are played, what is the dreamless state, and what is the state which is even aware of the dreamless state. So so I mean, everything is unknown. So you can live in a delusion that you know, but there's hardly anything you know, because senses itself are limiting the knowledge. They are limiting the experience. Otherwise, it is so vast. And then, how can somebody knows through intuition? Let us say, when you are just silently sitting with yourself, why the mind gets settled, from where the peace is coming, from where the bliss is generating, who is that source of thought? So all these questions are worth contemplating. Don't take them at the face of it, or don't take them a ready-made solution or answer to it, because familiarity breeds. I mean, it will think that you know. You Something is familiar, therefore you think that you know it. But there's a lot of gap between being familiar and actually knowing it. So ultimately, it is all unknowable. Andy has written one comment: human beings are continually trying to understand existence in their own limited ways. Absolutely right, Andy. But as you rightly said, it is only limited, right? Nobody can ever say that I have known everything, because the one who is knowing, who is trying to, yeah, somebody wants to talk.
I was going to add something to that, if I may.
Yeah, yeah, most welcome. Please go ahead.
Um, just reflecting on this. A few hundred years back, people used to people made up different theories around the Earth, the Sun, and they used different type of science. I would call it pre-Newtonian science, and there were a lot of assumptions made, and that was the attempt was really to understand existence or whatever people saw, and uh, and then you had the Newtonian physics come along, and a lot of things were based on logic. A lot of things were based on we started understanding things like cause and effect, and um, anything that we see, there is a cause to it, and those are the things we started sort of observing, and that started building up to a point till we ended up with quantum physics, and then suddenly people found that a lot of the laws that we had stuck to, or the logic that we so strongly adhered to under the Newtonian physics, was no longer relevant in certain domains, especially when you're dealing with subatomic particles. And the same thing around cause and effect as well. You could potentially have a scenario where the effect results in a cause, or it's not always there is a cause to something and that leads to an effect. So the reverse is also possible. And similarly, these things like logic is not king, that became that also started putting doubts in people's mind that, well, there is a potential where two particles, for instance, they can instantly communicate even though they are miles apart. And then the third thing that also came out was that because science was based on this fact that whatever you observe, and so is part of knowledge to some extent as well, that we're based on logic and direct experience. And Newtonian science was also based on a lot of these things around observation from the experiments, etc. But then when you kind of discover that in the quantum physics, that the very process of observation can distort the observed, then that sort of questions, really, can you really rely on direct experience as well? Or can you really rely on this observation, which was king in terms of Newtonian physics? So as things have started evolving, people were sort of suddenly discovering that the quantum field is actually not only debunked a lot of the theories that existed before, but also it's put another broader kind of perspective to things, things that were probably more easily available to people who are in the spiritual sciences area, and people who are in the spiritual sort of realm. They can appreciate the fact that certain things are unknown, but that's not the case when you're going from a logical sort of standpoint. So um, one thing I just wanted to put forward. So there was a saying from, I think it was from Kabir, when he said that when I was there he was not there, and when he was, I wasn't. And so it's kind of so similar to when you look at wave and particle theory. When the wave is there, the particle is not, and when the particle is there, the wave is not. It kind of just brought out to that when I was just reading some of these articles. But that's what I just wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy, for saying it putting it in correct perspective. You are right, absolutely right. There are so many unanswered things which Newton theories cannot explain. It's not to undermine what Newton has done, but it was more of materialistic oriented approach that whatever laws are there, they are very firm, and those laws will be true in all realms, all regimes, all domains. As you rightly mentioned, that once you go to subatomic level, then all these laws are going for a toss, and then things become even more interesting. As we talk that what is the relation between consciousness and matter, or mind and matter, to put it more simply. So I think we all know, want to, we have to perhaps not rely only on science, but we can make use of science to try and find that whatever the masters or the spiritual masters, without any sort of apparatus, they knew, like if you talk about astrology, they knew what is the movements of stars. How is it possible without the equipments which current science has? And they were not proven wrong any point of time. So there is something which just now I was saying that if you just sit with your eyes closed, from where the peace is getting generated, how the bliss is coming forth. You are not engaged in any of the sense experience at that point of time. So, what is the source of that peace and love and joy? So, you see, whatever is worthwhile is already available to you. Whatever is worthwhile, it is you yourself which is the source of all this. Can't we see that? Can't we, as you rightly mentioned about Kabir, जब हरि था तो मैं नहीं, जब मैं था तो हरि नहीं, अब हरि है तो मैं नहीं, प्रेम गली अति सांकरी या में दो न समाये. Means what? The love is oneness. It is so narrow that two cannot be existing simultaneously there. That is the biggest mistake scientists do. That they think that consciousness is separate from matter. And that is getting challenged day by day by day as quantum physics is developing. As more and more scientists are coming in open that, like one of the biggest scientists is Albert Einstein. He himself has said that the space is illusion. Now, if that be the case, everything else is an illusion, because space is subtler. If there is no space, can the matter exist? Is it even possible to experience anything without any space? And that space changes its colors when it is in dream state, when it is in projected state, and when it changes, right? Same with time also. Time is even more bigger illusion. You can't measure time. Really, you can't measure it. You can only measure changes between one condition and the other condition, or in one memory versus other memory. But what is time? There's no answer. You can say the time is the time it takes for Earth to revolve around the sun. But that is not time, right? That is only again a change. So, what is the definition of time? There is no definition. 1 second can be further divided into millisecond or 1 billionth of a second. So, which is the fundamental unit of time? It is not second, because it can be expanded, it can be contracted. So, time again is illusion. Space also is an illusion. And if time and space are not there, can the mind function? Can you speak a word without time and space? And both are illusion. So we have to think perhaps more deeply into these subjects, not take them at the face value, not accept them because somebody is saying it is an illusion. No, no, no. And that is the problem with in India especially, that everybody thinks they know, and they say that जगत माया है, मिथ्या है, और कण कण में भगवान है. But every particle is imbibed with God. Now, but when you ask them what is how, then there is no answer. Why you are saying the word is an illusion? There is no answer to it. So to get an answer is on the path of knowledge, obviously, because it challenges all whatever are your beliefs. Everything is challenged here. Everything is questioned on the face of it. You don't have to accept even your guru, because he says that don't believe me, believe your own experience, see your own experience, and apply your logic. Don't take my logic to be true. Apply your own logic. Once the most fundamental thing is becoming clear, which is very, 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 very simple, I would say. That it is so simple that mind overlooks it, because mind wants to do complex things. But reverse is true. The complex things, if they can be reduced to simple arithmetic formulas, then they are called genius. Like what Einstein did, E is equal to mc square. He reduced theory of everything to simple three three pieces of alphabet, 3 or 4 alphabets. E is equal to mc square. And how robust is that? How how pregnant it is with knowledge, with everything what you see around, that energy and matter are related to each other. So the whole theory gets collapsed about matter being true or non-matter being true. They are energy and time and space. Without these three things, energy, time, and space, which we called panch bhutas or 5 elements. This is a play of these 5 elements, right? And these 5 elements are illusory in nature. That's why they are called bhuta. In Hindi, bhuta means ghost, which is not there. And that is what only is there. So you see the dichotomy or the dilemma or irony of the whole thing. It is saying Panch Bhuta. So that means it is not there. Something which is an imagination, a fiction of imagination, figment of imagination. Whereas that is what only thing can be experienced. Even the mind is subtle matter. Now that cannot be understood by scientists, that which scientists currently they don't know what is mind. Now mind is also subtle matter. That's what Sankhya said. It is also 5 elements in a more subtler form is mind. It is inert. If that is inert, then what is alive? And you see that there is no differentiation between alive and dead, because mind itself is dead for that matter. It is inert, not dead, it is inert. Can mind know itself? Can a thought knows itself? What is mind? A collection of all thoughts, memories, emotions, feelings, sensations, desires put together is called mind. But where it is? Like I don't know where I was hearing. What is a car? If you remove each part, is the wheel a car? Is petrol the car? Is the petrol tank the car? Is the transmission the car? Is the engine the car? Is the carburetor the car? Is the chassis the car? No, you won't say no, that is not car. But then is the seats the car? Then what is car? It is the accumulation of all these components you call something as car, a vehicle. Same with mind. What is mind? It is the accumulation of these tidbits which you called as mind. But what is mind? You can use it. You can use the car. But what is mind? What do you do with a car if you don't use it? Same way, use the mind. It is not that it is something to be discarded or bad. Because without mind, without intellect, How will you know who you are? And even with intellect, you will never know who you are. So that is one question which can never be answered by anyone, who you are. And so powerful inquiry is this. Who am I? What am I? Where am I? How do I came into existence? How can anything exist without me? Can anybody say that anything exists without his being there? You can say that, okay, that fellow died, but the word is still there. But who is saying the word is there? You are there, no? Who has seen his own birth? Who has seen his own death? Everybody, there are so many numerous experiences of people after near death experience. How can that happen that a person is given anesthesia and her body is lying on that operation theater and doctors are working on it, and that person can see from the top of the operation theater that something is happening with my body, what the doctors are talking to each other. Now these are documented facts, not to be said that you have to believe in blind faith. These are documented facts now. That one, there are many cases who saw their body being operated, what doctors are talking to each other, and all such things. So if even once it has happened, then all your theorems, theories, postulations, hypotheses will go for a spin. You have to question them, that how it can happen, and if it has happened already, then you have to ask questioning, what is truth? Who am I? What am I? You won't find an answer to it in science or even in philosophy, but once you go deep, you will get something to know about yourself. And that is beauty. That is love. I think let me take the second question quickly, unless somebody has to ask or add or delete whatever is being talked about. As an individual, I feel I have very minimal control over my all actions and speech, but few other persons seems to have more control over their actions and speech, like you. So now, if I see it from broad perspective, non-dual view, do you or who seems to have better control, calm, cool, really have some control over your actions and speech? See, don't compare. First of all, you are so unique and so beautiful, so lovely. Don't compare yourself. Why do you want to compare yourself with anybody? It is degrading other and yourself also. Both are unique. How can you compare a mango leaf with a neem leaf? They both are unique. They both are beautiful. They both are lovely in their own sphere of existence. So don't compare. That is the first mistake which people do, because that's how the whole life has been spent. It's a tough competitive word, right? You have to compare that, and it's called relative grading, that you have to score better than your colleagues in either in college or in your job or in wherever, all spheres of life. So we are so imbibed from comparing ourselves with others. So simple solution to it is, don't compare. You are yourself absolutely great. First part of it. Second is, this is all temporary, right? There is no mind as such. I mean, right now we were talking about mind being inert. So what is so beautiful about one mind and which is not so beautiful about the other mind? They both are inert, right? So you yourself are the most subtle, the most beautiful aspect of the whole existence. So wherever you are, the whole existence is there. The seer is not different from the seen. The knower, known, and knowledge, they are all divisions in the mind. If I think that I know, that itself is an experience. If I think that know who am I is an illusion. It cannot be known. It cannot be known. But it is still known. In every thought, it is known. In every speech, it is exhibited. In every flow of air, it is flowing. In every sound, it is there. In every living being, it is beautifully exhibited. But where it is, there's no answer to where it is. Who it is, we don't know who it is. What it is, we don't know what it is. So, what are we talking about? It's just, it is just silence. The whole thing is just silence. Even when there is noise, the background is silent. Even when there is lot of thoughts, the background is there is no thought state. You don't have to go to not no thinking state. It is already there. It is the substance on which thoughts are appearing. It is the screen on which the images are appearing. What are images? It's shadow and light. That's it. What else is an image? What is the 3D image you object you see in a movie by wearing some specs? What are they? Are they something real? Can we say they are real? If they are real, then the arrow should hit me, and the mind, the body shifts here and there to avoid hitting of the arrow. It is so real. But is it real? The Holocaust. I mean, there are technologies available that you are sitting somewhere else and your image in a 3D form is projected in a stage, and it is interacting with other real, so-called real creatures. So, does it not infuse some inquisitiveness in you that is it whatever we are saying is it so real? What is so real about it? It is made up of atoms. What are atoms? Proton, neutron, and electrons. What is proton, neutron, and electron? It is just like our whole solar system. There is sun in between and electrons moving around. The distances are almost identical of Earth and sun in a relative sense between the nucleus and the electron. So is it not similar to the solar system? There is nucleus in between and there are electrons rotating around. But further down, when you go to subatomic, then even this model will be failing because there are subatomic particles now. The proton and neutrons are not absolute. Then there is a merging of wave and particle theory, that something which was taken to be two separate uh, things altogether, they are not separate. A electron can behave both as particle or as a wave. A photon can behave both as particle or as a wave. Now, how can we explain it? And now scientists have said it that when you measure it, it will behave like a particle. When you don't measure it, it will behave like a wave. So, is that some intelligence there, or why does that intelligence? I mean, they have done. Scientists thought it is because of probes, the measuring instrument, which is interfering in the whole thing. But they have eliminated it by rigorous mechanisms that the probes or the measurement instruments are not impacting the result. That they have eliminated. Still, the result was same. Now, very interesting. I hope today we have talked a lot about science and whatnot. I don't know. My limited knowledge is whatever little I could say or talk about these things I have shared. So, in the essence, or the whole sum and substance of this whole thing is that go with your own experience, go with your own logic. Don't believe a scientist, don't believe a spiritual guru. Just go with what you see, what you think, what you know, and what intellect says. And in the end, the intellect will be found to be absolutely futile to understand the most fundamental thing of what is consciousness, who you are, what you are, and how you are different with what is seen. Where is the difference? So contemplate on these things. We'll meet again maybe next Friday, same time. In case somebody has some questions or some comments, last few thoughts, concluding remarks, they are most welcome. Otherwise, we can close for today. Satya has written beautifully explained. See, I anyway, it's all the grace of Guru, the Guru field. Whatever you say, the spiritual masters, not one spiritual master, several of them, who have contributed in a little manner of their own, who have not believed what the society is telling them, gone within lot of penance, tapasya they have done, and that is the result. We are getting this ready-made knowledge served to us. So let us be grateful to those scientists who just devoted their lives for understanding who they are, and they shared those experiences not for the purpose of teaching somebody, for purpose of preaching anybody. They just spontaneously talked about it, what they thought is right. And after thousands and thousands of years, they're still proven to be right. That is the beauty of it. So I think let us close here. All the best to you, and go within yourself, see your own self in the light of your own glory, in the light of what has been talked about by several great scientists or great spiritual masters. They all merge. They are not saying something which is contradictory to each other. They are all talking about the one and the only one, which is you. So, thank you very much for joining in and patiently listening to all these utterances. Thank you.